This is the thing. I was watching Michael Gove being interviewed the other day on GB News, and he was being asked about whether or not the government was right not to proscribe the IRGC, the ghastly, horrible sort of military arm murdering scumbags, military arm of the Iranian regime. And he said, it's very simple. He said the reason that they have not been prescribed as a terrorist organisation is because of lawyers in the Foreign Office. Because lawyers in the Foreign Office have declared that it's very clear that if you are a state-run organisation, you cannot be a terrorist group. Well, sorry, of course you can. You can be a terrorist group if we say you are. If we decide that you are, that's where we go. You don't go, shut the door then. The lawyers are all in that room there having their tea and biscuits at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. They're about to go home to Sevenoaks. And actually they've declared that we can't make the IRGC a prescribed terrorist organisation because the law says we can't do it. I mean, we're sort of, we're now run by idiots who think that getting advice from lawyers is all you need to do. And as you know, as a lawyer, Stephen, you can get a lawyer to say anything.
Well, you can. We're also run by very bad lawyers. I mean, so for 14 years, I've worked in social mobility, and I've got kids from poor backgrounds into universities to read law and into jobs in law. None of my kids go and work for the government legal service. And there's a very simple reason for that. They would earn 3 times less if they did so. Yeah. So not only are we run by these lawyers in the civil service, they are very badly paid lawyers, and I don't believe that any of them are really competent lawyers.
So they're not very good lawyers either, in other words.
They pay peanuts, get monkeys. And what the civil service will do is employ 10 incompetent lawyers on low salaries when one competent lawyer could have done the job. And that's what we're constantly living. We live in this Blairite state, which is frankly about maximizing public sector employment. That's all they want. They want as many public sector employees as possible. Yeah. So 10 badly paid lawyers versus 1 well-paid lawyer, to them is a win. But look at it as a nation. If instead of the 10 badly paid lawyers, we had 1 properly paid lawyer, we'd still save about 70% of the money. There is actually a massive saving to be made here. But we as a country, we've decided to run ourselves as a massive bloated bureaucracy.
But also, Stephen, most normal people, right, and I include you in this, even though you are a lawyer, most normal people will take advice from their friends, take advice from people who maybe know what they're talking about. If you're in business, you might ask somebody who's also in business, what do you think we should do about this? How do we avoid paying tax on that? How do we expand into Europe? How do we kind of, start selling our products into Asia? You would take the advice of people who genuinely are experts in that particular sphere of influence. But what you wouldn't do is ask somebody who's got no idea of anything about what you're about to do and say, what do you think we should do? It's like asking a 5-year-old child, how do you think I should expand? For example, how would I expand this show into China? And what I wouldn't do is go and talk to some woke child who is over in the coffee machine across the street from me here, who's only just come into work at 10 o'clock and who's only been working for about 3 months. Because they don't know. And so why would you ask their advice? And so we have a government which is relying on the advice of people who don't know anything at all about the world.
No, we have structured. The best thing you can say in their defence is that we have structured the civil service to take, a lot of children with a lot of swimming certificates, and just keep them in a silo, and they learn nothing, and they know nothing.
I've done 50 yards in my pajamas.
Well, exactly, but they know the system. That's all they know, and therefore they sort of invest in protecting it. It becomes this way of things. And I, as a lawyer, I do like to quite criticise the family division for this. I think that the family division of barristers and solicitors tends to fall into, we do this because this is the way we've always done it. It's like, well, hang on a second. No, let's go back to basic principles. What are you doing and why are you doing it? But yet I wouldn't take advice from the Treasury, yet apparently all of our elected officials have to. And they had to crush Liz Truss because she refused to listen to them. But I mean, the idea that the Office of Budget Responsibility in particular, the idea that it has any expertise in anything other than state, all of its predictions are wrong. Yes. All of its forecasts are wrong.
Right.
And the idea that governments have to listen to this thing, which is now in our law, Mike, it's sadly written into our laws,
Yes.
that governments have to listen to this nonsense. I mean, it's just a waste of time. We may as well go back to augurs. We may as well go back to ancient Rome. Let's just release a flock of birds and let's see which way they fly, and then let's make a decision based on that.
As Jacob Rees-Mogg famously said to me when he came into this studio and said, actually, you're very, very wise to watch what herons bring to the party, because actually that's how they used to govern Rome. Yeah, you're absolutely right. And then and also look at the way that they name things, right? Call it the Office of Budget Responsibility. Sounds great. Sounds terrific. Doesn't actually have any responsibility, doesn't actually oversee the budget at all, just sits there and goes, well, this might happen, that might happen. But what about Geoffrey Cox? Geoffrey Cox, who's a former, I think, Attorney General, very highly paid lawyer, spent an awful lot of time in the Caribbean doing things for people who were paying him very much better than the government did. He's got up on his hind legs recently and yesterday to talk about jury trials. There was a case to be heard in Parliament yesterday. Let's have a look. Do we have it?
Years, which is that if you are accused of a serious crime, and a serious crime is one that could destroy your reputation, disqualify you from the House of Commons, wreck your professional reputation, loss of your employment like the postmasters and the mistresses, that you should be able to be judged by 12 people. There is a reason why summary justice is called summary. There is a reason why summary justice was always subject to a complete rehearing. Remember, the Honourable Lady spoke of how there was no right to jury trial. Of course there is no written right. There has always been an accepted consensus on both sides of this House and throughout the system of this country that jury trials are precious for those kinds of cases, particularly allegations of dishonesty. The right to elect is crucial. That is what this is being undermined, this bill is undermining. That is what is so dangerous about it. And undermining it on the basis of what? Arbitrary rules and arbitrary divisions. 3 years. Why 3? Why not next year 4? Why not next year 5? Why not extend it gradually, little by little, until you reduce? No, I am not giving way. Let me make clear now. I want to finish in a moment. The reality, Madam Deputy Speaker, is that jury trial is too precious a thing. We're faced with a question of principle here.
So Geoffrey Cox, who, is a little bit pompous, but that's okay, he's allowed to be, makes a very good point. It's a very precious principle, jury trial. David Lammy, who is not a very precious principle at all, a complete and utter actual idiot, thinks it's a good idea to get rid of it in order to somehow create a weapon for reducing the backlog of cases, which of course it won't do. Nobody in the legal world that I speak to thinks that it's a panacea for anything. Geoffrey Cox, as I say, very smart guy, very well paid if you want to hire him to do anything for you. He's somebody we should listen to, isn't he?
Yes, absolutely. And what's happened in the barrister profession is that far too many of them have sung Labour's tune for far too long. They really have. And I'm quite enjoying, look, we've had jury trials for 800 years. The idea that you get rid of them is obviously evil. It's what fascist dictators do. It's what communist dictators do. And it's what, nobody except communist and fascist dictators takes away jury trials. I can't even do a 3 there. I just have to point out that fascists and communists are the only people who take away jury trial. Fascists, communists, and now Labour. And the idea that you would support these people, or the idea that you couldn't see this coming, is what I really throw at the criminal bar. I really, and if Geoffrey's pompous, and I don't think Geoffrey is, actually I have a bit of a man crush on Geoffrey, because I have always wanted to have I've always wanted to have a beautiful voice. It's been very important to me. I wanted to sound nice, or sound. And Geoffrey has such a beautiful voice.
He does.
It's unbelievable.
It is mellifluous, I think we would say.
Only Zeb Soames, if you know him, who I think is now on Classic FM, but only Zeb Soames has a more beautiful voice than Geoffrey. But what Geoffrey is doing there is standing up for the real principles of the bar. And it's telling how it's only those of us on the right. And there aren't many lawyers left on the right. To be honest, we're like 5% of the profession.
Yes.
And a dying breed. But it is those of us on the right who know that this is absolutely monstrous. This is simply monstrous. If the Conservative Party were doing
the second thing I want to talk about, our friends.
Yeah, it's absolutely right. I mean, one final one before we let you go, Stephen, and before we promote and plug the live show that we're doing in May. Front page of the Daily Mail today, Home Secretary under pressure, intense pressure, to ban a pro-Iranian rally in London coming up this weekend. The Al-Quds organisation, which is effectively a sort of, I hesitate to say a political arm of the Iranian Revolutionary Guard, and which is effectively a terrorist organisation, want to march through London, chanting probably death to Israel, chanting presumably that they think that Israel should be done away with. I've certainly seen posters that people have been holding up from these pro-Iranian regime demonstrations in the past, which say things like, you know, bomb the hell out of Israel, bomb them into insignificance, bomb them into, the history books and back to the Stone Age. It seems extraordinary that we can't seemingly work out how to do these things. We can't ban this march. We think freedom of speech is so important that we have to let these scumbags march around in London, making people feel uneasy, threatening Jewish people and all the rest of it, you know? Isn't it bizarre?
Now, the second thing I want to talk about, our friends in the United Kingdom. And they are our friends.
Having very low self-esteem.
I love the people.
Okay, when you have very low self-esteem, you have no boundaries.
I went to school there for a while. They're wonderful.
I'm hearing another clip.
Pushed into a place where it has no self-esteem. And we need to get self-esteem back. We can stop things like this. It's obviously evil. We've had year after year after year of obvious evil. The Home Secretary definitely has the ability to block this. Don't let them lie to you. I kept writing in The Spectator about performative weakness, and I'm just fed up now. I'm fed up of people in power who say, "Oh, I can't do anything." It's like, well, then why do you have power if you can't do anything?
Right.
You can do stuff. So grow up. And I think it's about time that if I have one message to leave the country with, we need to man up, grow up, and have some boundaries, okay? Have some self-respect. And these people hate us, so they don't get to march in our city, okay? That's it. No.
Yes, absolutely right. Just say no. It was the great campaign of President Ronald Reagan's wife, Nancy, when she was trying to get people to stop taking drugs. Just say no. I think it's a great campaign. Stephen, we are, as ever, indebted to you. Coming up on May the 6th, which is going to probably come at us faster than we know, you're going to be joining us for a fantastic evening of the Mike Graham Show, effectively live, with a whole bunch of people, including Intel Lady, who put out an amazing thing. I don't know if you've seen it. Well, look, we've got this. We've now got a poster. Look at this. Mike Graham and Friends, Shepherd's Bush Empire, Wednesday, 6th of May. There are tickets still available. We've sold quite a lot of them. Hundreds and hundreds of people are already coming. Lewis McLeod is going to be there. Great impression. Intel Lady, who did a fantastic piece the other day of her as Emily Maitlis interviewing Hannah Spencer from the Gorton-Denton by-election. Very, very funny. And also a whole host of other people that are going to be there. We will be indebted to you for your incredible input to that as well. So if you haven't got a ticket yet, please do. We'll tell you how to get it. Go to Ticketmaster. Stephen Barrett, thank you very much indeed. Good luck with the rest of the day, and continue to speak absolute and utter common sense. Here we are, Mike Graham. This is great, actually. Should we not get this like framed or something? Put it up behind us, if we can. It only arrived this morning. Oh, so we haven't got any money to get it framed. Apparently, Donald McLeod's coming down later, and because of that, we haven't got any money to frame anything. Because obviously he's got to eat. He's got to stay in a room. He's going to put a hotel bill in. It's difficult. It's not easy running a business. Anyway.